There is a specific 3-hour window tonight that determines whether you maintain your eyesight or lose it, occurring between 2 and 5:1 a.m. If you miss this window, your retina spends those critical hours attempting to rebuild with no resources, and you will eventually wake up one day with vision significantly worse than when you went to sleep. Most seniors miss this opportunity every single night and have no idea it is happening. Here is the secret your eye doctor will likely never tell you. Between 2 and 5 in the morning, your retina runs the deepest repair cycle of the entire day. It rebuilds the macula, replaces dying photoreceptors, and beats back the oxidative damage that screens and sunlight have hammered in all day long. However, that repair process burns very specific nutrients, and they must be present in your bloodstream the exact instant that window opens. Here is the trap. The vegetables you eat raw or cooked the wrong way lock those nutrients up so tightly that your body cannot release a single one. You can eat the right vegetable, and your eyes will still starve in the dark. Consider a 68-year-old woman, a patient of mine, who ate vegetables every day and took eye vitamins every morning. Yet her macula was thinning on every scan anyway. Her morning vitamins hit her blood 5 hours after the repair window had already closed. Her raw vegetables passed through her system, releasing nothing. Despite years of effort, her eyes were robbed every night while she slept. I changed which vegetables she ate, how she cooked them, and the exact time she consumed them. 6 weeks later, her eye strain eased, and her scan held steady for the first time in years. These 6 vegetables in the right form hit your bloodstream exactly as that 3-hour window cracks open. And every night you wait is a night of retina health you do not get back. Pay close attention to vegetable number 2 because the way you prepare it multiplies its absorption many times over, and almost nobody knows the trick. Every source is cited in the description below. Tell me who is with me tonight in the country you are watching from in the comments. I read and answer every single one myself. Kabocha squash blended into a chilled bedtime pudding. Most people have never even heard of kabocha squash, and that is exactly why it belongs on this list. This deep orange Japanese pumpkin is one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables on the planet when it comes to eye protection. Yet almost nobody is eating it before bed. Kabocha is packed with beta-carotene, the compound your body converts directly into vitamin A, which is the single most critical vitamin for maintaining your retina's ability to function in low light. A 2022 study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that participants who consume beta-carotene-rich foods in the evening had 23% higher retinal vitamin A concentrations compared to those who ate the same foods in the morning. The reason is simple. During deep sleep, your liver processes beta-carotene far more efficiently because it isn't competing with other metabolic demands. Your body essentially has a clear highway to deliver that vitamin A straight to your eyes while you rest. But here is where the new eating form changes everything. Instead of roasting or steaming kabocha the traditional way, you want to blend it into a cold pudding and refrigerate it overnight before eating. When you cook kabocha and then chill it, something remarkable happens at the molecular level. The starch in the squash undergoes a process called retrogradation, which creates resistant starch. This resistant starch slows down digestion dramatically, meaning the beta-carotene is released into your bloodstream gradually throughout the entire night instead of in one quick spike. A 2021 study from the Journal of Food Science confirmed that cold-set squash preparations retain 31% more bioavailable carotenoids than freshly cooked versions. To prepare this properly, cut your kabocha into chunks and steam them for about 15 minutes until they are completely soft. Then blend the steamed pieces with a tablespoon of coconut cream or olive oil because beta-carotene is fat-soluble, meaning your body cannot absorb it without some fat present. Pour that mixture into a small bowl or jar and refrigerate it for at least 6 hours. You can make this in the morning and eat it right before bed that same night. The texture becomes thick and creamy, almost like a custard. Some people add a tiny pinch of cinnamon, which is perfectly fine and won't interfere with absorption. Aim for about half a cup each night, which gives you roughly 400% of your daily vitamin A needs in the most absorbable form possible. What makes kabocha special compared to regular pumpkin is its zeaxanthin content, which is nearly 3 times higher. Zeaxanthin sits right in the center of your macula and acts like a built-in pair of sunglasses, filtering out the harsh blue light that damages photoreceptor cells over time. Research from Tufts University showed that consistent zeaxanthin intake reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration by 26%. Eating this as a chilled pudding before bed gives your body the entire night to deposit those protective pigments exactly where they are needed most. Purple cabbage microgreens eaten fresh as a night snack. Purple cabbage microgreens are tiny sprouts harvested just 7 to 10 days after planting, and they are absolute powerhouses for eye health that almost nobody is talking about. These miniature greens contain a stunning concentration of anthocyanins, which are the deep purple pigments that act as potent antioxidants inside your eyes. But what makes microgreens different from regular purple cabbage is the concentration factor. A landmark 2021 study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that purple cabbage microgreens contain up to 6 times more vitamin C and 69 times more vitamin K than mature purple cabbage by weight. That is not a typo. It is 69 times more, and the anthocyanin levels are roughly 4 times higher per gram. These anthocyanins cross the blood-retinal barrier, which is one of the tightest security checkpoints in your entire body. Most nutrients simply cannot get through it, but anthocyanins from purple cabbage microgreens have been shown to penetrate this barrier effectively and accumulate directly in retinal tissue. A 2020 study in the journal Antioxidants demonstrated that anthocyanin-rich foods consumed within 3 hours of sleep reduced retinal oxidative stress markers by 29% after just 8 weeks. The reason timing matters so much is that your retina undergoes its heaviest repair cycle during the first 90 minutes of deep sleep. If those anthocyanins are already circulating when that repair window opens, they can neutralize free radicals on contact instead of arriving too late. Now here is the new eating form that makes all the difference. You want to eat these microgreens completely raw and fresh with no cooking whatsoever. Even light sautéing destroys up to 70% of the anthocyanin content. The key is to grow them yourself at home, which is incredibly easy. You just need a shallow tray, some organic purple cabbage seeds, a thin layer of soil, and a spray bottle of water. Within 8 to 10 days, you will have a full tray of vibrant purple microgreens ready to harvest. Cut them with scissors right before eating. The moment you cut a microgreen, its cells release an enzyme called myrosinase that activates sulforaphane, another compound shown to protect lens cells from cataract formation. A study from Johns Hopkins found that sulforaphane from brassica microgreens boosted the eye's natural antioxidant defenses by 33% in laboratory models. The fresher the cut, the higher the enzyme activity. Eat about a generous handful, roughly 30 grams, as your before-bed snack. You can place them on a small piece of whole grain toast with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil to add the fat needed for absorption. The slight peppery bite actually makes them taste surprisingly good, almost like a mild radish. Consistency is the real secret here, though, because your retina accumulates these protective pigments over weeks, not overnight. Researchers found that the most significant improvements came after 10 to 12 weeks of daily consumption. Think of it like building up armor around your vision, one layer at a time. Watercress prepared as a cold-pressed bedtime juice. Watercress is one of the most underappreciated vegetables in existence, and when it comes to protecting your eyes before sleep, the science behind it is genuinely remarkable. This peppery green has the highest nutrient density score of any vegetable ever tested, scoring a perfect 100 out of 100 on the Aggregate Nutrient Density Index developed by researchers at William Patterson University. It is loaded with 2 specific carotenoids that your eyes desperately need, lutein and zeaxanthin. Together, these 2 compounds form the macular pigment layer that shields your central vision from light damage and oxidative decay. A 2022 study in the journal Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science found that participants with the highest lutein intake had a 43% lower risk of developing neovascular, age-related macular degeneration, which is the most severe form of the disease. But here is the problem most people don't realize. When you cook watercress, you destroy a massive amount of those carotenoids. Heat breaks down the delicate molecular structure of lutein, and boiling watercress for just 5 minutes can reduce its gluten content by nearly 50%. That is why the new eating form for watercress is cold-pressed juicing, consumed right before bed, with absolutely no heat involved at any stage. Cold pressing works by crushing and pressing the leaves through a slow mechanical process that extracts the juice without generating the heat that traditional blenders create. Even a regular blender's blades produce friction heat that starts degrading these sensitive compounds. A 2023 study in food chemistry measured the difference and found that cold-pressed watercress juice retained 89% of its original lutein compared to only 61% in blender-processed versions. That is a 28% advantage just from changing the extraction method. To prepare your bedtime watercress juice, take 2 generous cups of fresh watercress, roughly 80 grams, and run them through a cold-pressed juicer or a masticating juicer. Add half a small cucumber to increase the liquid volume and 1 teaspoon of flaxseed oil to provide the fat necessary for carotenoid absorption. Drink this about 30 to 45 minutes before you plan to sleep. The cucumber keeps the taste mild and refreshing, so it won't feel heavy on your stomach. What happens next inside your body is fascinating. The lutein from that juice enters your bloodstream within about 20 minutes because liquid nutrients bypass much of the lengthy digestion that solid foods require. Your liver then packages that lutein into lipoproteins and sends them to the retina during your first deep sleep cycle. Researchers at Harvard's Department of Nutrition tracked the lutein transport timing and found that evening consumption resulted in 34% higher macular pigment deposit rates compared to morning consumption. The reason is reduced competition. During the day, your body diverts carotenoids to skin cells and other organs exposed to UV damage. At night, your retina becomes the primary recipient. One additional benefit most people overlook is that watercress contains significant amounts of phenylethyl isothiocyanate, a compound that has been shown to reduce inflammation in blood vessels feeding the retina. A clinical trial from the University of Southampton found that daily watercress consumption lowered DNA damage markers in retinal cells by 17% within just 8 weeks. Moringa leaf powder stirred into warm bedtime milk. Moringa oleifera is a tropical tree that has been used in traditional medicine for centuries, but Western science is only now starting to understand just how powerful its leaves are for eye health specifically. The leaves of this tree contain an extraordinary concentration of beta-carotene, roughly 4 times more than carrots gram for gram. They also deliver significant amounts of lutein, zeaxanthin, and a lesser-known compound called quercetin that plays a direct role in protecting the tiny blood vessels inside your retina from leaking and swelling. A 2021 study published in the journal Phytotherapy Research tested moringa leaf extract on participants with early signs of diabetic retinopathy, which is one of the leading causes of blindness worldwide. After 12 weeks, the group taking moringa showed a 36% reduction in retinal microaneurysms compared to the control group. Those are the tiny bulges in blood vessels that eventually burst and cause irreversible damage to your vision. The numbers were striking enough that researchers recommended further large-scale trials, but eating fresh moringa leaves presents a real problem for most people. They are not widely available in regular grocery stores, and even where they are, the leaves spoil extremely quickly. This is why the new eating form, dried moringa powder stirred into warm milk before bed, is such a game changer. The drying process actually concentrates the nutrients dramatically. A comparative analysis published in the African Journal of Food Science found that dried moringa leaf powder contains 10 times more vitamin A activity than fresh leaves by weight. That concentration happens because water makes up about 75% of a fresh leaf, so removing it packs those nutrients into a far smaller, more potent form. The key word in the preparation is warm, not hot. You want to heat your milk, whether dairy or plant-based, to about 60 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 140 degrees Mars. That is warm enough to dissolve the powder smoothly, but not hot enough to denature the sensitive carotenoids. Boiling milk with moringa powder destroys up to 40% of the beta-carotene content, so temperature control is critical here. Stir in 1 level teaspoon of organic moringa powder into a cup of warm milk. Add a tiny amount of black pepper and drink it 20 to 30 minutes before bed. The black pepper is not optional, and this is important. Piperine, the active compound in black pepper, increases the bioavailability of moringa's nutrients by up to 154% according to research published in Planta Medica. It works by inhibiting certain liver enzymes that would otherwise break down the carotenoids before they reach your retina. The warm milk itself serves a dual purpose. It provides the fat needed for absorption, and it also contains tryptophan, which promotes sleep onset. Better sleep means a longer and deeper repair window for your eyes. A 2022 pilot study in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition tracked participants drinking moringa milk nightly and found a 22% improvement in contrast sensitivity, which is your ability to distinguish objects in low-light conditions. That is basically your night vision getting measurably sharper from a simple bedtime drink that takes 2 minutes to prepare. Goji berry leaves brewed as a warm evening tea. Almost everyone has heard of goji berries, those bright red superfruits that show up in every health food store. But what almost nobody knows is that the leaves of the goji berry plant contain eye-protecting compounds that are in many ways even more impressive than the berries themselves. Goji berry leaves are exceptionally rich in zeaxanthin dipalmitate, which is a specific ester form of zeaxanthin that researchers have found to be dramatically more bioavailable than the free-form zeaxanthin found in most other foods. A 2020 study published in the journal Molecules analyzed the zeaxanthin content of goji leaves versus goji berries and discovered something that caught the nutrition world off guard. The leaves contain 42% more total zeaxanthin per dry weight than the berries, and the ester form present in the leaves showed 2.5 times higher intestinal absorption rates in human subjects. Your macula, that tiny central zone of your retina, responsible for sharp reading vision and facial recognition, is essentially built on zeaxanthin. When zeaxanthin levels in the macula drop, you start losing central visual acuity and fine detail perception. This is the core mechanism behind age-related macular degeneration, which affects nearly 200 million people globally. The new eating form here is a warm brewed tea, but the brewing method is what separates this from any ordinary herbal tea. You need to use dried goji berry leaves, not fresh, because the drying process cracks open the plant cell walls and makes the zeaxanthin accessible to hot water extraction. Place about 2 tablespoons of dried goji leaves into a cup and pour water that is around 80 degrees over them, which is just below boiling. Let them steep for exactly 8 to 10 minutes, no shorter. A 2021 analysis in Food Research International showed that steeping goji leaves for 8 minutes extracted 73% of the available zeaxanthin, while steeping for only 3 minutes extracted just 29%. That time difference nearly triples your yield of the most important compound in the tea. Drink this about 40 minutes before sleep without adding any sweetener. Sugar actually competes with zeaxanthin for certain intestinal transport proteins, which reduces absorption by up to 18% according to data from a 2022 Chinese clinical nutrition study. If the taste is too earthy or bitter for you, adding a small squeeze of lemon is actually beneficial because vitamin C stabilizes zeaxanthin during digestion and prevents oxidative breakdown in the stomach. A randomized controlled trial at Beijing University of Chinese Medicine followed 96 adults aged 55 to 72 who drank goji leaf tea every night for 16 weeks. The results showed a 28% increase in macular pigment optical density, which is the gold standard measurement for how well your macula is protected. The group also reported 31% less eye fatigue during screen use. What makes bedtime consumption particularly effective is that zeaxanthin transport to the retina follows a circadian rhythm. Your body preferentially deposits macular pigments during the overnight fasting period when fewer nutrients are competing for the same transport pathways. By drinking this tea at night, you are essentially giving zeaxanthin a first-class express ticket directly to the part of your eye that needs it most. Fermented purple sweet potato eaten as a chilled paste. Purple sweet potato is not the orange sweet potato you are used to seeing everywhere. It has deep violet flesh that gets its color from an incredibly high concentration of anthocyanins, specifically a type called peonidin and cyanidin glycosides. These particular anthocyanins have a unique ability that sets them apart from almost every other plant compound studied for eye health. They can cross the blood-retinal barrier in significant quantities and directly neutralize the reactive oxygen species that destroy photoreceptor cells over time. A major 2023 clinical trial published in the Journal of Functional Foods followed 134 adults with early-stage retinal degeneration for 20 weeks. The group consuming purple sweet potato anthocyanins showed a 47% improvement in scotopic vision, which is your ability to see in near darkness, and a 52% reduction in retinal oxidative damage biomarkers. No other single food intervention has produced numbers even close to these in any peer-reviewed trial I have come across. But here is where the eating form makes all the difference in the world. Eating a regular baked purple sweet potato gives you some anthocyanins, sure, but fermenting it first and eating it as a cold paste transforms this vegetable into something else entirely. During lactofermentation, beneficial bacteria break down complex anthocyanin molecules into smaller, more absorbable fragments. A 2022 study in the journal Food Chemistry measured the difference and found that fermented purple sweet potato had 3.8 times the bioavailable anthocyanin content compared to the same potato simply baked. That is nearly 4 times more of the active compound reaching your bloodstream from the exact same vegetable. To prepare this at home, start by steaming purple sweet potatoes until they are completely soft and then mash them thoroughly. Mix in a quarter teaspoon of sea salt and 1 tablespoon of whey or liquid from plain yogurt, which introduces the lactobacillus bacteria needed for fermentation. Pack this mixture tightly into a glass jar. Press it down to remove air pockets. Seal the lid loosely and leave it at room temperature for 48 to 72 hours. You will notice a slightly tangy smell developing, which means the fermentation is working. Then move the jar to your refrigerator. It will keep for up to 2 weeks. Each night before bed, eat about 3 tablespoons of this chilled fermented paste, along with a small handful of walnuts or a teaspoon of olive oil for the fat component. The cold temperature matters because it keeps the fermentation-produced metabolites stable. Reheating the paste destroys much of what the fermentation created. A 2023 Korean study in nutrients confirmed that the fermentation process also generates entirely new compounds called anthocyanin metabolites that have 2 to 3 times the antioxidant potency of the original anthocyanins. These metabolites were shown to specifically accumulate in the retinal pigment epithelium, which is the support layer that keeps your photoreceptors alive and functioning. When this layer fails, photoreceptors die and vision loss becomes permanent. The study found that nightly consumption over 12 weeks strengthened this layer by 34% as measured by enhanced depth, optical coherence, tomography imaging. No supplement on the market can replicate what this simple fermented food does for that critical layer of your eye. Everything I have shared with you is grounded in real published research, and the beauty of all 6 of these vegetables is that they are affordable, widely accessible, and easy to prepare once you know the method. Your eyes do their heaviest repair work while you sleep, so feeding them the right nutrients at the right time and the right form is one of the smartest investments you can make in your long-term vision. Start with even just one of these tonight and build from there. Small, consistent changes are what lead to real, lasting results. If this deep dive into the science of vision has changed the way you look at the vegetables in your kitchen, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. We are dedicated to uncovering the vital health secrets that have been overlooked for too long. Protect your future and nourish your sight. The next breakthrough in wellness will be revealed very soon.